We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Free Association Radio. This is Robert Phoenix and you're listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. The moon is now full in Libra, getting ready to oppose the Aries sun. It's a very interesting dynamic between the Aries sun and the Libra full moon. The Aries sun, of course, represents the birth or the beginning of the astrological new year. So this is a very good time to get your house in order. It feels to me like when people do when they do their pledges for the new year, and they vow to lose weight, or they vow to exercise, or whatever those things are, that's done during Capricorn. And one of the reasons I think it's interesting that it takes place during that time is because we believe that Capricorn, at least as astrologers, we would believe that when you have a goal or an intention or a resolution, that it would have longer term repercussions, implications, and a better chance to survive with Capricorn. Capricorn also is about discipline, it's about form, it's about order. So resolutions, the new year, the new Gregorian year, all that stuff kind of makes sense then. But if you missed the boat in January and you did not make a resolution or an intention, well, here's your second chance. Because with the Aries energy and the start of the astrological new year, you can have the opportunity to use that energy to fuel any kind of initiation that you want to make in your life. So it's kind of like if you're playing fantasy football and your team sucks about halfway through the season, most places that have fantasy football give you an opportunity to do something else and stay on their website and not lose interest. Well, that's kind of what the Aries moon is about, or sorry, the Aries sun is about. The Libra moon, as it opposes the Aries sun, is an interesting dynamic. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is relationship. Now, relationship is kind of a fascinating term in and of itself. Most people think that relationship is about two people. And yes, it's true. And with Aries and Libra as the dynamic, we'll find that that is really coming to the surface for a lot of people, balancing their emotions versus their own personal needs. balancing their emotions versus the needs of the relationship. That is the Aries Libra dynamic and axis. Aries is the self. The moon in Libra is about emotions and weighing out and considering how much to give, how much not to give, who to give to, who not to give to. And I just did a post on the site, and one of the things that Libra does is that Libra is more show than tell. So if you know anybody that's got a Libra moon or a Libra ascendant or Mercury in Libra or Venus in Libra, these people will show you how they want to relate. And as I noted in my blog today, if they enjoy back rubs, guess what? They'll rub your back. Why? Because they'll want you to rub their back. That's how they work. Aries will probably just, tell you, hey, rub my back. They may not even say please. So that's what Libra does. It shows. It doesn't tell. So Libra takes you to a really good restaurant, or a restaurant that maybe is off the beaten path, but the food may be good. They're showing you what kind of cuisine they like, what kind of aesthetic experience they like. If they play music for you in their car, and Libras are great for doing that, they're showing you what kind of music they enjoy. And hopefully you pick up on it and like it too. Now, one of the things, or one of the reasons why Libra does this is because they're also probing. They're probing to see how you will respond. And if you don't like what they do, if you don't like the food that they enjoy, if you don't like the music that they listen to, if you don't like the clothes that they wear, then most often they will drop you. It's just that simple. Because what Libra wants is they want shared experience. They want shared experience, they want shared value, and they want to have it in a way that resonates with their own personal needs, their own personal aesthetics, their own personal desire. So keep this in mind if you're involved with a Libra. It's very important knowledge to have. And Libra can be passive-aggressive at times. It gets passive-aggressive because Libra doesn't like to upturn the apple cart. It doesn't like to stir things up. So in many instances, Libras will go along to get along. And they'll try to hold out in their mind for a better place and space and time to make a change, to do something different, whatever that thing is. And as a result of that, they may not be fully invested in the relationship or the activity or the group or the job or whatever it is that they have that relationship to, and then they begin to undermine it, and they begin to subvert it. And this is where the passive-aggressive piece for Libra comes into play. But today, here, now, we have some very interesting dynamics on a social level that are taking place as a result of this Aries Sun, Libra Moon axis. Most of you are aware of the fact that the Supreme Court is ruling on the constitutionality of what took place in California with Prop 8. If you look at 8, the symbol 8, it's very much like the sign of Libra, only turned right side up. If you turn it on its side, it has the basic pattern of infinity, which you can actually do with the Libra scales once they are in equal position towards one another. You can draw the infinity symbol between the two scales. The scales are also a pyramid too, by the way, when you draw those 3 points. So we have Prop 8, which is balance turned upside down. As above, so below. That's what 8 is. And the Supreme Court is getting ready to possibly rule on this over or on a Libra full moon, which would make some sense because we're dealing with scales, weights and measures, balancing the rights of the states versus the rights of the United States, the rights of people versus the rights of the government. These are all getting balanced and weighed out right now. And it's not just from a legal perspective, but I'm sure that there are any number of agreements and agendas that are also being weighed out at this time, and that go into factoring the decision on how this will unfold and then either become law or not in our lives. The deciding vote will likely be Chief Justice Roberts. I did a brief piece on him today, very brief. He's an Aquarius. He's a first decan Aquarius, which means he's ruled by Uranus. Let's go back in time. 2009, Barack Obama is getting sworn in as President of the United States. He's taking the presidential oath, and it's John Roberts who is administering that oath. And what happens, it gets all screwy and weird and screwed up and tangled, and they can't finish it. I mean, it's really just absolutely pathetic that Roberts could not finish this thing with. I mean, he's a Chief Justice. Come on now. And he can't lead Barack Obama through a simple exercise of swearing on a Bible in public. Well, it was so mangled and so twisted that they had to do it later. They had to go beneath the White House. Rumor has it that they swapped out the Bible, that this was a reason why this took place, and instead of the King James version of the Bible or Lincoln's Bible or whatever Barack Obama was using that day, they used the Masonic Bible, which would be in alignment, by the way, with Roberts being an Aquarius and being the first decan Aquarius with Uranus actually ruling that decan. Roberts is supposedly a Catholic. He's married. He and his wife have not sired any children. They've adopted 2 kids. There have been rumors swirling around Washington for many years that John Roberts is actually gay. You can look it up. I'm not promoting any kind of propaganda. So John Roberts is the wild card, and we will see probably within the next 48 hours during the Libra Full Moon that we'll understand more about where Prop 8 and gay marriage is headed in this country. What's interesting is that today I was doing a search for John Roberts, and in the weird world of the Astro Matrix, there was a guy by the name of Michael Kaiser. And Michael Kaiser runs the Kennedy Center, which is a big center in New York City for the performing arts. Anyway, Michael Kaiser announced he's getting married today to John Roberts. It's a different John Roberts, obviously. But here we have Libra manifesting itself, right, into John Roberts. Also, the overlay is Jupiter and Gemini with the 2 John Roberts. One getting ready to rule on gay marriage. The other, John Roberts, actually getting married. So here we go. There's a little journey through the astrological matrix. Another interesting thing that's going on is that Barack Obama just signed into law today this farm bill, which is actually kind of along the same lines as the Food Safety Act that he signed shortly thereafter, getting elected or in 2008. And essentially what this bill does is it indemnifies Monsanto. Monsanto is bulletproof now. They can do anything. They can screw up any crop. They can force any farmer to take their seed. There's an ongoing battle with alfalfa as a genetically modified organism. Alfalfa is a basic root fundamental grass which gets into everything. Cows eat it. Pigs eat it. So once you flip alfalfa and create genetically modified alfalfa, it really it invades the food chain and changes everything from that point forward. So this is what's going on. Barack Obama just signed this Food Safety Act through the Farm Bill, thus indemnifying Monsanto. And as a result, there are people who are aware that are a little more than just agitated with this rubber stamping of corporate interest inside the White House, and especially Monsanto, because there's a lot of food activists out there. But what's interesting is that on one hand, let's do the Libra scale thing again. On the one hand, we have Barack Obama signing Monsanto, the Monsanto Protection Act, which is basically what it is. And on the other hand, we have same-sex marriage getting very, very close to being justified, normalized, and legal. So we have the scales being weighed out. And in the middle are the people that voted for Obama. And what a mind fuck it is for them, because what they're thinking is, oh my God, he's backing Monsanto. Oh, but he just has been supportive of same-sex marriage and rights, and I've got to love him for that because the Republicans hate same-sex marriage. And so what they do constantly is they're splitting everyone right down the middle, even people that are advocates of him in his presidency. They split them right down the middle too. They split their consciousness right down the middle. How do you reconcile that? On one hand, he's standing up for same-sex rights, and on the other hand, he's basically saying, hey, look, we're going to poison you, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. Now, what kind of a tortured relationship is that with someone? Well, remember, today's show is about relationship. So we're talking about people's relationship to people in power, like the President of the United States. Doesn't matter whether it's Barack Obama or not. It could be George Bush. It could be Lady Gaga. Could you imagine Lady Gaga as president? What an acid trip that would be. So that's where we are today in terms of the astro matrix itself. In terms of Moon and Libra, it's all about reflection, it's all about relating, and it's all about balancing. Now, one of the things we're going to do today is I'm going to do some mini readings, and we're going to get into synastry, and we're going to get into some composite charts. Now, I'm going to keep these readings brief. So when I bring you onto the show, what I want you to do is I want you to have your info and the person that you're asking about, if indeed you're asking about a person, I want you to have that info ready to go. And I will only do a very, very brief kind of synastry chart. And we're going to pick one, by the way. Let's just make that a ground rule. We're not going to do two, we're going to do one. We're going to do either synastry or composite midpoint. Now, let me just talk a little bit about both so you know what to ask for when you're live and on the air. Synastry is when your planets and the other person's planets get matched up. And so we look at things like conjunctions, we look at things like oppositions, we look at things like sextiles and squares between the two charts. Okay, it's kind of like how the two of you mesh together as separate entities inside of a relationship. The composite chart is where we take one person's chart and the other person's chart and we mash the numbers together, and every planet comes up with a midpoint. So for instance, let's say you have Mercury in Virgo, let's say they have Mercury in Aries, you know, your Mercury is at 16 Virgo, theirs is at 4 Aries. What the program will do is, or I will do through the program, is find the midpoint between Aries and Virgo, which in this case is likely going to be the latter part of Gemini. So together, the two of you would share a Gemini Mercury. And it goes all the way around the planet, all the way around the zodiac, with every single planet finding those midpoints. And then with those midpoints all figured out, then you have a chart, and then you go through the angles again, squares, sextiles, oppositions, you name it. And the composite chart is how the two of you are together as a couple. as one. Synastry is individually meshing. Composite is you're there, you're together. This is the energy of the relationship itself. So when I call on you, you tell me if you, number one, if you want to get into me reading either a synastry or composite chart, then you pick one. The other option today when we open up the phone lines is, again, relationship doesn't necessarily have to be between two people. It can be a relationship with a place as well. We have relationships with many things. So if you want me to get into a little bit of astrocartography, I will do that. Although I probably would prefer sometime in May when we get into Taurus. We get into the Taurus Scorpio moon, full moon aspect, or even the Taurus sun, new moon. But I'd be willing to look at that. However, let's try to keep it the bulk of today's exploration of relationship in the realm of couples, coupling, partnership, all that stuff. Okay? You've got the ground rules. Be ready to go when I call you. We're going to try to keep these at about maybe 10 minutes max. And then, obviously, if you want more information or you want a more blown out reading, you can get one of those through me and my website. And right now I'm offering Facebook users and also people that listen to the show a discount of $33 for any composite or synastry full-blown reading. And we can actually, if you decide to have a reading offline, we can actually mesh the two together. We can have a fully blown out relationship reading where you get the goods for both synastry and the composite chart. So if you're listening to this broadcast, either via Facebook, either via Blog Talk Live, via the Blog Talk podcast, or via the YouTube transmission, because this is available on YouTube as well, you just tell me that you heard it on the show, and you will get a $33 discount. That's for an hour reading, and we're going to focus on synastry and composite charts. All right? Okay. So let's get into this right now. Let's go to the 954 because they've been holding for the longest period of time. And let's jump into some readings. Hello there.
Hey, Robert. How are you?
Good, good. Who's this?
This is James from Florida.
That's what I thought, James. I thought I recognized your voice. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. I'm glad you were on today. Man, I enjoy your show. I really do.
Well, thanks, James. I enjoy you, and I enjoyed your post about razor blades on Facebook. Can you tell people what your epiphany around razor blades was? I thought that was really interesting.
Absolutely. That the refills cost more than the blade itself, and it just got me thinking about a lot of other things. You have all these packages and these products that people sell you, and you always think it's a one-time deal, but here comes something else. They don't always give you all the information you need up front. It's always like that bait, that catch and bait thing, and so it really reminded me of how we do business, how we trade, how we economics, our choices, and exchange of money. It's always fear-based because we always have to keep them coming back type of deal. So I was getting really philosophical about it. Well,
it was interesting because, I think one of the things that came out of it was that, if I'm reading it right, it was that you decided and realized that you were worth it. That whatever the cost of that thing was, that you were worth it. So you were making kind of a value-based choice, not on the actual game, which is I'm going to lure you into this relationship and it's going to look really good up front, and then I'm going to backload the relationship with more cost than you really thought was there.
Right.
You said, "Screw it, I'm worth this. I'm gonna do this." Isn't that what came out of that?
Right.
Yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed that. All right, so James, when's your birthday? You're in Aries, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Aries.
When's your birthday?
It's this Saturday, March the 30th, 1985.
All right, well, happy birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you.
1981?
85.
85. And James, by the way, has a show on Blog Talk here. What is that, James?
That's In Spirit with JP. In Spirit with JP. We have a show this Saturday, right on my birthday. Yep, I have an intuitive coming on.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, when were you born? What time?
I was born 3:38 p.m., Miami, Florida.
3:38 p.m. And that's Miami, Florida. Okay. Miami. Okay, hold on. I have very good memories of being in Miami, by the way. Too good, actually. Too good. All right, so are we doing some synastry, astrocartography for you?
Absolutely, but I don't know her time of birth.
You don't know the time of is this your girlfriend?
Yes.
All right. You don't know her time. All right, so let's do this. Let's do another tab here. Okay, and just to be clear, I've got you as an Aquarius rising, is that right?
I'm a Virgo rising.
See, there's something wrong with my program. Let me do this. Let me go into my other program. Hold on. Yeah, this is what I've been asking, because this other program has been faulty. So let's do this here. All right, desktop. Let's go here. Let's go to that. So what I'm going to do...
I wish I wasn't an Aquarius rising.
Well, I know, but I mean, there's pluses and minuses to everything, right?
Right.
If you're an Aquarius, I think as an Aries and with an Aquarius rising, I think you'd be like Hitler or something. I don't know. That could be trouble. Don't change. Don't change, James. We love you the way you are.
I love it.
All right, hold on. Let's see. Let me just open this program again. Apologies for this taking longer than it should. All right, so let's open a new one here. And then I'm going to kind of go back and forth between screens. This should be very interesting as I hustle here. All right, here we go. Okay, so we got Miami, and we got Florida. Let's go right there and look that up, bada bing. And then the birthday is the 30th
right.
of March. Okay, so we got 3:30. 3:30, here we go. Hold on, come on back now. 3:30, and the year is 1985. Okay, 1985, and the time was 3:38 a.m. 3
p.m.
3:38 p.m. All right. That's the problem with this one. Let me go back and edit this one, because if I have this one edited, it's better. Hold on. There we go. Let's try this. So here we go. All right. And bang. There you go. That's you. Okay, so we got the very early 0 degrees Virgo, right?
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Okay, now that we got that taken care of, give me the birthday of your beloved.
Oh, you're going to love this. September 26th. And that's 1984.
Okay, September 26th, 1984. Okay, I'm feeling it already. All right, so what do we got? What we got here is, wow, very interesting. 3 degrees on the Libra sun, which isn't quite in opposition to your sun. It's 7 degrees off. It's still in opposition, right? So one of the things that people who get into opposite relationships, what they're trying to do is they're trying to, fill out each other in some ways. It's pretty basic astrological forensics. And I think people say that people that have opposites in relationship, don't really work out in the long run. I would tend to disagree to a large extent, only because you have to take into account the opposition, you have to take into account the angle of the degree, and believe it or not, you have to take into account the sex of the opposition. And I'll give you an example. I believe that the Aries male, Libra female opposition is actually fairly balanced in some ways, because even though Libra is an air sign, it's ruled by Venus, right? It's ruled by Venus, so it's ruled by beauty, by grace, by charm, aesthetic. Aries is ruled by Mars. So Venus is female, Mars is male, and Mars is, will, action, power, dynamism. And if the two together are living in balance, it's really a phenomenal combination, because the receptive energy of the woman, and males can be receptive too, I know that, but the receptive energy of the woman can, especially if she's a Libra in this instance, can balance out the energy of the Aries male. And if you look at the Aries sign for Aries, right, it's in balance. There is an inherent balance to the two horns, right? They're not lopsided, they're in balance. Libra is trying to find balance. The scales are always trying to kind of accommodate the situation or the life circumstance. So there could be a great interplay between the male and the female dynamic here. When the Aries male is feeling confident and is activating his life design and purpose, it gives the Libra partner the ability to feel kind of safer, more comfortable. It can free the Libra partner up for creative and aesthetic acts versus trying to balance everything. Now, she'll always keep you in check with the conversation. She will always keep you in check with the conversation. She'll always ask you, to a certain extent, what is the value of this? Why are you doing this? It will dissipate over time the longer you stay together, because she'll just inherently trust you more. But Libra will always be taking in information and kind of weighing it out on the inside for themselves. Now, what's interesting about where she shows up in your chart, she shows up in the second house. So she shows up in the house of money for you. She shows up in the house of grounding. This is a person that would really ground you. You've got all those planets up there in the 8th house. So theoretically, this relationship could work very well if you are working together. And I don't know what you guys are doing, how much she's involved in your show or your ministry or any of that stuff. But with her sun in the second house, she could help bring all of this kind of, deep, intense Aries meets Scorpio energy of your 8th house, bring it down into your second and ground it, and make it real, and help you have an equitable exchange for those energies, which means ultimately that you would be rewarded for what you do. So she would be very, very, very good at this. Let's just go a little deeper here. She's got a Libra moon too, doesn't she?
Oh, yes.
So you would have perfectly, leading off the show, exactly what we're talking about, the Aries sun meeting the Libra moon. And this is really incredibly alchemical, this combination, the Aries sun and the Libra moon. I think there's a great deal of mystery that these two aspects have in common with one another, because it really, really underscores, again, the masculine and the feminine principle. The sun here being in Aries, sun masculine, Aries masculine, the moon feminine being in Libra. And yes, Libra is an air sign, which is generally considered masculine, but it's ruled by Venus. So we have Mars and Venus, sun and moon. This is a very powerful insight into the alchemical connection between these two signs. So I would say from a long-term perspective that this is a person that you could really grow with spiritually and understand the mystery of relating together on a very intimate level and also on a more of an archetypal level. So today would be, in terms of you're connecting with her, today would be a tremendous day to sit down and have a discussion with her and say, hey, where do you maybe you open it up for her. Where would you like to see this to go? What are your visions of us being together? Things like that. I mean, because we're at the start of the astrological new year. And I believe that the first full moon of the astrological new year, which is this full moon, is a great time to start intentions. It's Libra. It's about agreements. And we have agreements with others, and we have agreements with ourselves. So this is a fantastic time for the two of you to find out, where your agreements are. Where do you want to go? How do you want your year to unfold? You can set goals, set intentions, and really, because the two of you embody the spirit of the sun and the moon together, it can be very, very powerful, James. Extremely powerful. Just going a little bit further here. Let's see, you've got that 7th house Pisces. Does that resonate with anything going on in her chart? Blah, 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 blah. Not really. And then you've got, let's see, 5th house, Capricorn, and there's her Jupiter sitting in your 5th house. And it's right, let's see, Jupiter is right on your Neptune. So you've got Jupiter on Neptune and Capricorn in the 5th house. It's also trining your Mars up in Taurus, up in the 9th. This has the potential of being a very long-standing and inspiring relationship. With her Jupiter on your Neptune in the house of romance, in the house of children, trining your Mars, which is in the house of higher visions and philosophy and law, religion and ministry. This person can be a really profound inspiration for you. And because it's Capricorn, your 5th house is Capricorn, when you get involved with somebody on an emotional level, you tend to be involved with that person for quite a while. Now, some people might say this could be epically delusional with Neptune there and Jupiter there, but I don't think so. Capricorn is very pragmatic. The only thing that I see is a very, very wide square between Mercury, where you'd have to really kind of work a little bit harder at times to get things out of you because your Mercury is in your 8th house. It's an intense house. So there'd be some effort to kind of get you to come out a little bit and talk a little bit more, maybe even be more of a public figure, So I think you're having your radio show and blog talk. I think it's great because we want to get you out of the 8th house. And her Jupiter in the 5th, I think, will help do that. Neptune does not square your Venus in Aries. It's 13 degrees off, so I don't see any problem with that at all. There's no square there. So if you want my thumbs up on this, you've got it. I think there's some great elements here for having a long-standing working relationship with somebody that grounds you, somebody that completes you, and somebody that can inspire you on a level for you to really take hold of your dreams and do what you're here to do and follow your purpose.
That's good. Oh, man, that's great. That's great. Thank you.
All right, James. Tell people again what your show is and when is it happening?
In Spirit with JP, it's this Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to have a special intuitive guest, Amy Nancy, on.
Okay. There you go. Go listen to James. Help him get out of his 8th house.
Yes, please.
I'll see you, James. Take care.
Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
James is such a sweet guy. All right, let's take another call here. Let's go to the 724 area code. Let's rock and roll. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm going to see what you can come up with for me.
Okay.
But wait till I tell you my birthday, and you're going to kind of laugh.
All right. What's your name first?
It's Carol.
Carol?
Yes.
All right, Carol. Let me just go here.
All right.
Carol. All right. Let me take a hit of nitrous oxide here so I make sure I laugh. Okay, go ahead.
9. You need my birthday, right?
I want it all, Carol.
Okay, 9/26/1960.
Oh, wow. We got a 9.
And it was at 1:38. Now, listen, I don't know his time either.
All right. What time were you born again?
1:38.
1 p.m. or a.m.?
In the morning.
Okay. And where was that?
Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Okay. There we go. All right. All right, so let me just see here. We got Sharon, Pennsylvania, and Universal Time, Sidereal Time, 1:38. All right, I have you here as a Leo rising. Is that right?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Let me just do this. I just want to make sure here because I want to.
Okay.
I want to make sure I'm giving you the right birth time here. Let's just go into the Eastern Central. Here we go.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we got this. Exactamundo. Yeah, there it is. Leo rising. Yeah, Leo rising. There's that, let's see, October 26th. Is it October 26th or September 26th?
No, September 26th.
All right, so make sure you hold on. There we go. There we go. That's why I'm asking. Here we go. All right. There. Okay. Still Leo rising. A little bit of a later degree, 3 degree Sun, Libra, and you've got a hammer and T-square between the Sun, Saturn, and Sun and Mars. You're born actually 4 days after me.
Oh, really?
So we share a lot of the same aspects except for the Sun and the Moon.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're close. We're very close. You got that Moon in Sag. You've got Jupiter and Sag. You've got same degree. Saturn is me. Luckily, you have it in the 6th house. I have it in the 2nd. All right.
Oh.
Now, what is your significant other?
September 13th, 1969.
Okay. September 13th, 1969. All righty. Looks to me like he's got a Libra moon.
Okay. Is that good or bad?
Well, it's good. I mean, it's good in the sense that you're a Libra, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would have a Sun-Moon conjunction, and it could be depending upon, because I'm just looking off of the solar chart or the ephemeris. So we know the Moon is in Libra. It's probably slightly ahead of your Sun, but maybe only by about 6 to 7 degrees. Anytime you have a Sun-Moon conjunction in a relationship chart, it's very powerful. And two people tend to get along really, really well with that Sun-Moon conjunction. So no matter what happens with this relationship, you will always be friends with this person. And I'm not saying that the relationship is going to end. Don't infer that.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
I'm just telling you that, and one of the best foundations to being able to be in a relationship is two people liking each other.
Right.
And with Sun-Moon conjunction, there's shared sensibility, there's a shared kind of sense of values, and the Sun-Moon conjunction in Libra, you would have the energies kind of balancing one another out. So this is actually, we're off to a good start here with this fellow. He's got Mercury in Libra, and that is at, let me just find that again. Where'd it go? That Mercury in Libra is at, where are you? 14 degrees. And that puts it right in your third house, the third house. And it's right at the midpoint. It's not quite conjunct your Mercury. It's about 8 degrees off, but still, again, you can talk, you can relate, you can share very easily amongst one another. He's got some stuff in Sag, which is good because I was a little concerned that with the Sun, your Sun in Libra and his Moon in Libra and his Moon showing up in your third house, that this could at times have a bit of a brother-sister or familial feel to it, which is good for relating, not always good for being involved in a one-on-one relationship. But he's got some Sagittarius stuff, and that's good. He's got Mars in Sagittarius, and it conjuncts exactly your Jupiter in the 5th house. So this is good. Mars in the 5th house, Jupiter in the 5th house, house of romance, house of passion. This would be a really fun person to travel with. Have you ever traveled with this person at all?
Yep.
Okay, you would have great adventures with this person. And it would always be, what's beyond the next horizon? What's beyond the next horizon? What's beyond the next horizon? Mm-hmm. And I think you have the potential to have an epic romance, a really epic romance, something that you will cherish and you will have in your memory banks for a very, very long time. And you may even continue the relationship for a long time as well. Wherever this relationship goes, it will be very, very memorable. And you will always cherish this relationship. So if you continue to go down this path and you continue to explore it and be with it, I think it will reap benefits and rewards. The thing that you want to do is with that Mars on your Jupiter in the 5th house, you've got to keep it lively. You've got to keep it adventurous. You've got to keep it playful. Keep it fun. Do you guys do any kind of exercise together at all?
We don't. No, we don't really exercise together.
Okay.
But we'd probably have fun.
Okay. Well, that might be an interesting thing for you to do. And I'm not talking about going to the gym together, but doing stuff like, going for hikes or swimming, anything that allows you to stay active, because you've got all that Sag there. And that Sag energy will actually, in the outdoors and working your bodies, will actually be a turn on. So if you want to boost the romantic power of your relationship, invest in Sagittarian activities. Go horseback riding. Horseback riding, I think, could be an amazing experience for the two of you. Okay. Especially afterwards.
Okay.
All right. Let's just go through here a little bit. Saturn is always kind of where the karma is, or where you have to work things out. Saturn in Taurus. That Saturn shows up in your 10th house. That could be interesting on two levels. If you decide to work together or have a business or start a business together, Saturn in the 10th house in Taurus, his Saturn 10th house in Taurus, could be quite good. It could, mean that you're working hard, or he would bring a sense of hard work to whatever endeavor that you two could start or be a part of. The other thing, too, that could be a challenge, though, is you could be having to deal with, at times, his frustration around his own work or his own career, and feeling like that could be a burden for you and trying to solve that. Because Saturn in Taurus is a very different energy than Mars in Sag. One of the things that he's here to do on some level is he's here to work. He's here to balance out the fun, of the Mars and Sag with the Sun in Virgo and Saturn in Taurus. He's got some duties to fulfill. And so with Saturn in Taurus sometimes can be a little laborious. And finally, let's just round this off here, Venus and Leo, and that Venus shows up in your 1st house. You feel more attractive around this guy. You feel more alive, more attractive. His Venus conjuncts your Uranus, 6-degree conjunction. And what we have here, unusual relationship. So it means that, obviously there's a difference in 9 years in the two of you.
Right.
So, and some people in your inner circle, might look upon that and say, what's going on with her? What's going on, Carol? She's dating, a boy or whatever.
Right. I don't really care what people think.
Yeah. So
that's their business, not mine.
I'm just telling you, though, that's the Venus-Uranus conjunction. But,
right.
In your 1st house, he makes you feel like a woman,
Right.
He makes you feel alive. He makes you feel pretty. He makes you feel confident. You're proud to go out with him, with Venus and Leo in the 1st house. So I think this could be really good. The thing with you, Carol, is you've got Aquarius in your 7th house, which is about unusual relationships. So this would kind of qualify in some ways as one. And, you need a certain amount of air and a certain amount of, what's the word I'm looking for, space at times in a relationship as well. And anybody that burdens you too much or has too, they're too needy or whatever, that's a major turnoff for you. But he's got it covered. He's got Venus in Leo. He's sure of himself. He's confident. Mercury in Libra, air. People that have Mercury in Libra, they love having space. They love their time away at times. They'll always come back because they need partnering, but they need equal amounts of, kind of downtime or alone time. He's got Jupiter in Libra. He's got Mars in Sagittarius. They'll give you plenty of space. So I would say, keep this ship going in the same direction. You're sailing it.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That's pretty interesting, wasn't it? I mean, here we had James's girlfriend, first call of the day, born on 9/26. Second call of the day, the caller's born on what day? 9/26. This is what you get, ladies and gentlemen, when you listen to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. High strangeness, synchronicity, and powerful, strange attraction. All right, let's go to the 540. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello, Robert. It's Eric.
Eric, what's going on, brother?
Hey, I was calling to see maybe if you could look at a composite for a past relationship of mine.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Let's do this. I feel like God sometimes, Eric. I got to tell you. You know why? Because I can change Carol through her chart into another person right now. Okay. Give me the dates.
Okay, my birthday is September.
No, I got you. You're in my banks.
Okay, hers is September 14th, 1973.
All right. All right, and what time do you know?
Well, she never told me. I did a pendulum dowse for 7:51 p.m. for whatever that's worth.
All right, let's try it. I'm going to trust your pendulum and your dowsing abilities. And where was that?
Roanoke, Virginia.
Roanoke. There we go. There's Roanoke. And give me her first initial.
She goes by her middle name. So should I give you her real first name or her middle name?
Her middle name's fine.
S.
S, okay. All right, let's fire this thing up. That's Eastern time, right? Eastern Standard Time?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, and then let's get into you want to do composite, right?
Sure.
Okay. Let's do that, and...
Unless you have a different recommendation.
No, this is your time. Let's see here. Here we go, way down at the bottom. There you are.
And just for people listening, my birthday is the 5th, September 15th, 75.
Oh, interesting. So you're going to have a sun-sun conjunction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful.
I mean, I presume I'm in your system or already.
Yeah, you are. You are, definitely. All right. There we go. So the composite chart, obviously, we see the sun at 22 degrees. So what's interesting is in this chart, the two of you become a Cancer ascendant. And your composite, Saturn is in Cancer, which is in its fall. And it's in the first house. And the thing with a Saturn first house composite is that even after the relationship ends, the memory of the relationship and even the chords of the relationship can last for a very long time. quite often people that have a Saturn composite in the first house tend to be pulled back into the relationship later on. So I would not be surprised if this person reconnects with you at some point, especially because of the Sun-Sun conjunction, which is quite rare. And the only time that I have ever been with somebody where I had the Sun-Sun conjunction, I've been with two people. One was 2 days after me, and we got along very, very well. Still to this day, we're friends. And the other was a very kind of mysterious encounter that the person had the sun, not only the Sun-Sun conjunction, but the same year. And it was, I don't want to get into the details. It was pretty personal, but it was very interesting. Incredibly short-lived, but the ramifications of that very brief encounter could have been, how would you say, life-changing. So anytime you find somebody, there's going to be a rapport. You're going to have a rapport with the Sun-Sun conjunction that is almost uncanny. The challenge with the Sun-Sun conjunction is that you can be either so similar in some ways that there's no dynamic tension at all, and that you would just wind up being good friends. Or the other dynamic is that it can be very hard to kind of sort out where you end and where the other person begins, because the degrees are so close. Now, over time, I think it would probably be more of the former versus the latter, because you'd figure that stuff out. But to me, that Saturn composite in the first tells me that this is a relationship that you're not entirely done with. And I'm guessing, well, this would be an educated guess. My educated guess would be as Jupiter moves into Cancer and moves into the first house of your composite chart, that there would be some renewed activity with this person. Now we're talking end of May, beginning of June. Jupiter does get up to 20 degrees this year, and I believe it's in August that it will begin to conjunct your composite Saturn. That should be very interesting. Now, that composite Saturn actually trines your composite Moon and your composite Jupiter, which are conjunct in the sign of Pisces. So the composite, that's actually a wonderful composite aspect, Eric, because it allows the couple to have a kind of a heightened and inspired sense of emotional well-being that connects them to planes of awareness and existence that go beyond the physical plane, especially because they're in the 9th house. Now, I think I know who this person is. And the challenge with this comes into play when Jupiter and the Moon square Neptune in the composite chart. And that's where some of the deception comes into play. And it's also where, as a couple, you would take each other for granted, or you would actually take the relationship itself for granted. And I think that
Do you think that's both ways, or more one way?
Well, I would think it would be both ways, because you're in a relationship, right? It takes two to tango. So part of that formula would be one person is asleep at the wheel, and just assuming everything is cool, hunky-dory, lovey-dovey, has their eye off the ball, and the other person is kind of taking advantage of that, okay? So my sense here, and it could be either person, right? Wouldn't necessarily have to be you and the one who's kind of asleep at the wheel and the other person's taking advantage of you. It can be either one. But it feels to me like that's the challenge of the relationship. We've got a couple of oppositions here, because of course we know that your chart has some major oppositions going on, and some of those actually carry over into this chart as well. The Mars-Neptune opposition as a couple, very challenging. especially since Mars is in the 12th house. So the motivation, Mars is action, it's initiation, it's motivation. The motivation for being together is hidden. And there's a sense of Mars and Gemini with, duality and duplicity, right? Dual nature. And it's opposing Neptune. So, if somebody is not being faithful or honest, in some ways, this is kind of the chart that it would manifest in. But, as astrology shows us, there's more than one angle. And Mars also trines your composite Pluto. It also trines your composite Venus. And it also trines even though Mars compositely, by the way, is in Taurus, it's in Gemini's house, in the 12th house. So let's be clear about that, okay? So I think, again, that if at some point in time this relationship ever came back into play, one of the most important things that you would want to do is to try to be as transparent as possible with this person and have them be as transparent with you as well. You've got a Sun-Jupiter opposition. That's one of the other oppositions going on in the chart. Again, that's one of those oppositions where sometimes things can go so well, you take things for granted with the Sun-Jupiter opposition. If indeed somehow she saw the light and she realized that you, Eric, are really a great, great guy, and Jupiter swings back around and it hits Saturn in your first house, and all of a sudden, you're reconnecting and you're like, wow, what's this all about? Road test it a little bit, but I think for this relationship to flourish, one of the things that you would really be really helpful for this relationship is to live under the same roof, buy a house, it's because you've got 3 planets composite in your 4th, and they're being very strongly aspected by that Mars-Taurus energy, which is all about building. So, we're dealing in the realm of speculation. We're really dealing in the realm of what ifs. But if it is indeed the case, and I, again, as an astrologer, I would have a very strong opinion about her returning with this Jupiter cross over the ascendant into the first house of the composite chart, that indeed would be the case. And if it does happen, then, you need to be able to be super clear and apply a lot of the skills and a lot of the insights and a lot of the things that you've learned in the past year since we first started talking. I remember the first time you called into this show, and I remember in some ways how desperate you sounded. I'm not trying to put you down or anything, but there's a sense of desperation there because you had experienced something very painful and you didn't quite know how to deal with it. And I'm here to, be a witness for you that over the past year or so, you have grown tremendously. I mean tremendously. I've seen so many things and experienced so many things in terms of what you're doing with your life and the connections that you're making and your own presence that you're building up, that your growth is really tremendous, Eric. And what will happen is that if indeed this does occur, your growth will be tested a little bit, and you'll have to figure out, how to apply a lot of the stuff that you've been integrating over the last year. And that doesn't mean that you would even have to go back into the relationship, but you would have an opportunity to review this from a very different place, much more empowered place. So that's what I see here.
Well, Robert, you seem to be very much on target without me giving you much new information. So I very much appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome, Eric. It's always a pleasure to hear you here and to see you on Facebook. I'm glad you're part of, what we're all doing here.
I appreciate it as always. I'll be seeing you around.
Okay, Eric. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's our good friend, Eric. And trust me, he has grown tremendously in this past year. It's so great to see. It's so great to see people go through things in their lives and then meet the challenges and triumph over them. It gives us all a sense of hope and encouragement that, we make a difference in our own lives. Speaking of making a difference, let's go to Memphis. It's the Queen of Memphis. It's Lenise. Hello, Lenise.
Hi, Robert.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's a good day today. It's a Libra Full Moon.
Yeah,
I got a Libra Moon. I have a Libra Moon. I'm good.
Oh, you are a Libra Moon?
I do. I have a Libra Moon. I'm
Wow.
sharing my Libra Moon day with everybody on the internet.
Oh, good. Yeah, I felt the energy last night.
Yeah? What was that like?
Invigorating.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
Can I read between the lines there a little bit or not?
Sure, go ahead.
All right.
All I can get.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad you're invigorated today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you want to do? Do you want me to get into anything here? You want me to look at anything?
Yeah. Look at my chart and see what's going on with me.
All right. Let's see what we got here. I think you're still in here. Let me just see if I find you. If not, I may have to do this again.
Okay.
I think you're in here. Let's see. No. Let me enter you again. Let me just make sure.
Okay.
Because you've been around a long time here.
Yeah.
You were in my regulars chart. Okay. Apparently no. All right. Let's go here. Let's do this. And let's do this. All right. And here we go. All right. Lay it on me, Lenise.
July 5th.
Okay.
1963.
Right. Okay. Time?
9:56 a.m.
And that's in Memphis, right?
Correct.
All right. Memphis. There we go. Okay. And there you are.
Okay.
Eastern Standard Time, 9:56.
Yes, a.m.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I had you up as a composite chart with Eric. We can see how you and Eric would be in a relationship. I should do that with people. Okay. Virgo rising. There's Mars. There's Pluto. There's Uranus. There you are. All right. Do you want to do the composite thing, or do you want to do the midpoint thing, or do you want to just maybe have me look at your chart?
What's going on now? Whatever will show what's going on now and what's coming up.
All right. Well, okay. Let's get into. Let's find out where Saturn is in your chart. That's always a prime indicator. Okay. So Saturn is moving back into your second house. It's at 11 degrees. It's still going to be conjunct your third house. But when it moves back into your second, it's a really important time for you to stay on top of your money.
I know.
Stay on top of your money. It's a fine line because people want to save, right? They want to save. They don't want to blow a lot of cash, but at the same time, you also don't want to be considered a spendthrift, or cheap. Cheap. Mm-hmm. So that's the fine line. So you've got to go back into your second house, reassess your finances, reassess not just finances, but also what's important to you, what has value for you. All these things are very, very important. Okay. You also may want to look around in terms of your extended family, great aunts, great uncles, things like that. And touch base with them. Anybody who is a quote-unquote elder in your family, spend some time with them. Maybe it would be a good time if there's somebody that you're really, really, really close to, that you would want to sit down with a cell phone and record them with some video or take some pictures. It's a really good time to do that. Maybe have some pictures made of people that you really value that are close to you in terms of your legacy. Because what happens is that, when we do things like that, then there seems to be a kind of energy exchange that takes place with value in our own lives. So the more that we cherish, especially with Saturn and Scorpio in your second house, the more that we kind of cherish and honor those that have gone before us, especially if they're connected to us, in some ways it increases the value of where we are now and actually where we're headed. So I think it's a good thing for you to do things along those lines, because it would make your heart open, but it would also give you a sense of what some of these people went through in terms of their own experience. How much money did they have, or how much money did they not have? What kind of backgrounds did they come from? How did they meet their economic and financial challenges, or how did they meet their social challenges? And these are all things that you would be able to appreciate, and then they would become kind of an asset for you, because you see your own life differently, you see your own resources differently, and would make you appreciate them even more. Because that's what Saturn in the second house does. You need to appreciate your resources. You kind of have to work hard towards them. And Scorpio is about legacy. It's about other people's resources and how they either made them or bled them, whatever the two are. Now, it will move forward again. It will move forward this year, and then it takes up residence in your third house. And one of the things, you've got Neptune in your third house in Scorpio. And I'm going to go back to this idea of spending time with people in your family and recording them and figuring out, their stories and things like that. I mean, I think this could be actually a really interesting project for you. Neptune and Scorpio is in your third house. It trines your Mercury in Cancer. It's a wide trine. But there's also almost an exact trine with your Sun in Cancer at 12 degrees. So again, the third house is brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. It's not quite the eighth house, but you've got Jupiter over there in the eighth house in Cancer. And that's, ancestors, it's grandmothers, grandfathers, 2-3 generations removed. So I think that as Saturn gets into your third house and it hits that natal Scorpio, begins to trine Mercury and trine the Sun, that it's incumbent upon you to use that Saturn third house, gathering information, collecting information, and it would be important for you to have like for lack of a better term, a family story. The other thing too is when you have Saturn moving into the third house, it can also indicate that you must learn a new skill. That and because of where Saturn is as it relates to your 10th house and Mercury and the Sun, I could also see that you would have to acquire some kind of a new skill. And that could be anything from, believe it or not, learning a second language, perhaps Spanish, to deal with, the influx of Spanish-speaking people in this country, so that you can maybe keep your job, or make you even more employable. Or there could be another activity that you would need to learn with that Saturn in the third house. It could be a different kind of language. It could be a computer language. It could be some type of computer-related skill. But there's something about using your mind in a way that will help you gather resources and make some money, but has an impact and an effect, on your career. And long term or longer term, you're going to have your Chiron return coming up, and that happens next year. And for me, your Chiron return has a lot to do with crossing that Maginot line, the Rubicon of relationship, because your descendant is at 14 degrees, your Chiron is at 14 degrees, and it is the gateway to your house of relationship. And once you go through your Chiron return, and once Chiron passes over and actually goes into your 7th house, I believe that you will be okay enough with Lanice and okay enough with all of Lanice's interesting kind of outside spiritual beliefs, okay with your sensitivity. And I believe that that's the time when you will enter fully into a relationship that reflects those values and who you are. And I think it'll be very seamless. And when you won't even have to try, you'll have kind of integrated all of these things, and then you're ready. And somebody's ready for you too as well at that point in time. The Chiron degree is almost always the degree with which we go back into our lives, and that's when the Chiron wound took place. So for you, it would be at the age of 14. You'd want to look at, well, what happened at the age of 14? What happened to me at 14? Where did I go at 14? Was I unloved? Was my heart broken? Did I have to go to church? Was I forced to go to church after a time when I stopped believing in church? Did the minister, try to feel me up at church? That's it's like you'd want to ask yourself, like, what happened at 14 years of age? Because then at 14, you get to go back with the Chiron turn, and somehow you get to resolve that. You get to resolve that piece. So that's in your not so distant future. That's in 2014, resonant with the number 14. So that's what I see with you. You still there? Hello? I don't know what happened. She's gone. Wow. I thought that was a great little run there, don't you? She's gone. Okay, let me do this. Let me play some calls. I'll play some calls. Let me play some songs. Let me play a track of music. I played this the other day. It is Clay, Man Called Clay's newest track, Umek. I got an email from a listener who liked this so much that they tried to find it on YouTube. And I don't think Clay has put this up on YouTube yet. So I sent him to his SoundCloud page. So if you want to find out more about Man Called Clay, go to soundcloud.com and just type in Man Called Clay, all in one word, all lowercase, Man Called Clay. It'll take you to a SoundCloud page. Here's Lanice. She's coming back on. Let's just find out what happened. Hey, what happened?
Hey, I don't know. I heard you up until you called my name. I was just listening. I said something, and the sound didn't seem to be going through. I don't know what happened.
So did that make sense as to what I was saying?
Well, my response was that I feel like crying, especially when you were talking about the ancestors and doing all of that, and everything is just, and me coming to myself in 2014. And also what happened at the age of 14, I think is very interesting that you mentioned that, but I had a very traumatic life-changing experience. So.
All right. So, well, good. So we had a meaningful interchange here then, didn't we?
Yes. So where does my age, what happened at 14, show up?
That's the degree of Chiron. And you're at 14 degrees Pisces.
So at 14, is that where my Chiron was?
That's the Chiron wound.
Oh, that's my wound.
Yeah, that's when it took place.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing that you found that. And, I know I do have that wounding in Chiron, and I was wondering what it was. I thought it was from past life, but it may be, but it also occurs in this lifetime as well.
That's right.
Oh, wow. I'm getting a lot of vital information here.
Well, good. Good.
Mm-hmm. I'm so full till it's almost, I don't know how to explain what I'm going through now. But I'm better and I'm okay, and I'm trying to navigate as best I can.
You're gonna do just fine.
Thank you.
It's fine. You are
encouraging.
You are Jupiter's going into Cancer this year, so it's going to cross your Mercury, it's going to cross your Sun, it's going to be in your 10th house. So starting in June, things really take a very nice turn for you in terms of your work, even a raise, a little more salary, and then recognition. You're going to get some recognition this year too, which I think you deserve.
Okay. I don't know how it's all going to happen, but I'm going to trust and put effort.
Okay. That's all you can do, right?
That's all I can do.
Yeah.
Set aside my fears and my doubts and move forward.
That's right. That's right. It's hard not to look back and to think that, and it's just something that I, wrestle with in my own life, that life will repeat itself over and over again and you're in Groundhog Day. But I think that if the person makes a conscious and sincere effort to better themselves and better their conditions, whatever that may be, because it's an individual piece,
Yes.
that God will work with that individual, and he'll say, you know what, you're doing all right. I'm going to throw you a few things here that are going to, help you get to the next level. It's like a video game, really. I mean, you go to a video game and you work hard at a certain level, right?
Right.
You work, and then you get little, bonus points and little energy chips or whatever. Then, that's the god of the game helping you get to the next level. The only thing different with this game and in a video game is in a video game you can die over and over again and still come back. Well, I guess you can in this game too, but not in this lifetime. So, anyway, you just do what you do.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, thank you, Robert.
Do you want to be back in hold or what?
Yeah, I want to be back on hold.
All right, Lenise, take care.
Okay, thank you. Take care, you too. Love you. Bye-bye.
You too. All right, that's Lenise. Let's go to the 607 area code. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello, Robert.
Hey.
This is Roy Tiesler. I'm calling.
Roy, what's going on, Roy?
What's going on? A lot and nothing, but things are looking good.
I know.
But I did have a question, and I sent the email quite a while back, but I know you're pretty busy with what you're doing there. It was regards to my wife, Rosemary, and she had kind of like a health scare.
Okay.
Well, she ended up in the hospital for a few days, and they're all thinking it's the heart, and something inside me told me, no, it's not the heart, and but that's all they're going to focus on, And we thought then, so many things were going on, and we were getting one synchronicity after the other. And then one night, we were laying in bed and we were listening to one of your shows, and you recited some old folk tale from Germany, and it was about a fish, and she knows this tale by heart. And the name of the fish in the German folk tale is called Butts. And the doctor she had in the hospital was called Butts, and that doctor was really getting on her nerves. So I think we have to give Robert a call and maybe get a reading to find out what's going on with.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. Oh, it was even more than that, but that was like the one that said, yeah, we got to call Robert.
Okay. Well, I apologize for skipping over that. There's a lot of details going on that I don't always get a handle on, but I do my best.
No, you don't have to apologize.
Okay.
Everything's understood. It's
okay. Well, let's do this. I'm trying to find Rosemary's chart here. I can't find it. Let's do a new one. And let's go fresh. Start here. And let's look at that.
I put myself in the queue, and I said, watch, I'm going to be the next one. And I was like, I'm a little nervous here. And he said, yeah, of course. She said 607. But I did get the chart ready, or her information ready here.
Good. Lay it on me. What's her birthday again?
December 1st, 1937.
Okay.
The time is 5:30 p.m. And the place is Sumperk, Sumperk, Czechoslovakia.
Okay, so let's do Sumperk. Sumperk.
Right.
Czechoslovakia.
Perk.
Perk. Yeah, got it. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go to automatic time zone. Should figure it out. No, that's not it. Come on. Stop here.
It's showing here as Universal Time, 16:30. I don't know if that helps.
Let me just figure this out here. Yeah. Yep, got it. 16:30. Okay, health. Let's see. Heart. Yeah, fifth house. Saturn's there in her fifth house. The fifth house is Leo, right?
Oh, check this out. She went to the hospital, in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
I brought her to the hospital on my mother's birthday. And my mother died last year in March. and you did a reading for us like 5 days before she died, and you did it my chart, and you told me that she would be going, in a sense. I mean, you referred to your father dying about that time when those certain things happened in my chart. And then on March 6th, which was my mother's birthday, we brought Rosemary in like 2 o'clock in the morning to the hospital with this. Weird. It's weird.
Well, let me add one more level of just absolutely utter surreal synchronicity, Roy. My father died on March 6th.
Holy cow. This is too much.
Pretty wild, man.
Yeah. And I thought, I just went on to the blog talk to listen to you because we don't really get a chance to do it during the day. And as soon as I got on, right away you said, the last person came, had a 9/26 birthday, and this guy just had a 9/26, and I said, wow, it's already starting here.
Oh, I know, man. I tell you, it's crazy. This show is such a collider of synchronicity. I don't even know it. Obviously, we're having a kind of a major confluence right now and today, but, I'll just, do the show, and people will be going through things in their lives, and, stuff comes up like the fish or what. I don't know how this stuff works, but it's interesting. And it feels to me like we're kind of working on something, and, it's kind of a sign to keep going. So let's explore this a little bit. Saturn's in her 5th house, and, the 5th house is the house of the heart, right? That's Leo. So she could be experiencing something that's heart-related, and it may not necessarily be the heart itself. Now, I'll tell you what happened to my father. My father went into Kaiser. I don't know where you're taking Rosemary. My father went into Kaiser, and I think what we're dealing with in terms of our own immunology and our own health is we're dealing with a whole new array of diseases and maladies that are not being taught in med school, okay? And
you're not kidding, because, we narrowed it down. I mean, I knew this wasn't the heart. I mean, yes, it affected the heart.
Yes.
But, there were other things that were going on, and there were a lot of signs, in the hospital, and then a little later on from other people that we know had problems. And sometimes people have problems with the heart, and it's just a symptom of something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. This is what I'm kind of referring to.
What we found out now, this was just a symptom of some a common bacteria in the stomach that just went overboard.
Well, so we have to, what we're trying to figure out here now is, at least on a personal level, and even on a collective level, is how to stay well. And how to stay well in a medical system that doesn't always diagnose things in a way that is commensurate with some of the things that we're going through. And in some ways, we can't blame them. But if we're being subjected to hundreds and thousands of tons of chemtrails a year, and inside of those chemtrails, we've got heavy metals, we've got polymers, we've got all kinds of weird smart dust, nanoarrays. These things are going to affect us in ways that don't show up in anybody's training. They just don't. So now what do we have to do? Now we got to figure out, how we can, stay well as it relates to kind of our own protocols. One of the things that I always, and I'm not a doctor, I always urge people to contact their doctors. One of the things I always urge people is to get off wheat. That's the first place anybody should start, is to get off wheat, because if indeed, and I'm not sure, where Rosemary is with this, but if indeed she does have this bacteria in her stomach, which is putting a strain on her heart, having, wheat and gluten and the gymnosperm, that will make it even harder for her stomach to deal with anything else. So I, again, from the personal perspective, 2.5 years ago, I thought I was going to die. I couldn't digest anything. I thought I was allergic to food. And I just decided to stop eating wheat, stop drinking beer, because beer has wheat in it. Within 2 weeks, everything cleared up. This was a big panacea for me. May not work for everybody else, and maybe you guys are already there. I'm just sharing with you that for kind of what we're going at now, or what we're going through now, baseline is, understand your relationship to gluten. From an astrological level for Rosemary, the good news is that she's got Jupiter going through her 12th house. The only challenge I see here, Roy, is the Jupiter Chiron cross. Jupiter's going to be crossing her Chiron in May, just as it goes into Cancer. The Jupiter Chiron cross it's not a bad cross per se when it crosses over. I always feel like the Jupiter Chiron cross is like is spackle. It's like spiritual spackle. Chiron is the cracks in our being. Jupiter is this big force that comes in and just kind of smooths everything over. But because her Chiron is in the 12th house, and Jupiter comes in, and it's close to the ascendant, it's not. I wouldn't be necessarily concerned about it or afraid of it. But to me, what that Jupiter crossing her Chiron in the 12th is that I believe that Rosemary will become much more comfortable with her relationship with living in two worlds, because that's what Gemini symbolizes at that point. And it's at the 29th degree. It's the anaretic degree, and it's almost at Cancer. So if she is still undergoing some challenges and troubles, and I certainly hope she is not during that time, what will occur between now and then is that she will begin to take into account her own mortality, because this is what happens when people get sick. Obviously, anytime you get sick past the age of 45, you begin to think of, well, where am I, what am I, who am I, where is this all going? So this would not be an uncommon experience for somebody who has been ill to go through and begin to have a kind of an internal inquiry about, where they're going. And Jupiter on her Chiron actually makes her more okay with her present condition and any future condition. So I think that there is a relaxing that will take place during that time. And then as Jupiter comes and hits her ascendant and moves into her first house, to me, that is a return to health. There's a robustness that just naturally occurs with the Jupiter ascendant cross and then Jupiter taking up residence in the first house. I think that that's great, but I do think that Jupiter crossing her Chiron, that this is part of a bigger process for her, Roy, because Jupiter's in her 12th house now. And anytime Jupiter goes through the 12th house, what we're doing is we're experiencing the expansion of Jupiter in whatever house it's going through. So there, the 12th house represents, where we came from. It's the afterlife. It's the cosmos. It's the soul. So the Jupiter ingress, or the journey through that house, is about the exploration of those states and spaces. That's where the gift is. And also, because it's in Gemini, there would be at some point a desire to communicate what that experience has been like, because Gemini needs to communicate. So part of, again, this Jupiter coming across Chiron and coming into the first house, it would be kind of like the ability to now share what that transit of Jupiter, which for her has lasted really almost 2 years now, would have been like, and especially the most concentrated component of that, which would have been the 29th degree of Chiron. So also, I think really the best thing for Rosemary at this point would be to get in touch with this kind of healing power of Jupiter, which would be, the 12th house, and that's prayer and getting in touch with, her higher self and her soul, and not for anything that would be, sort of preparatory for her leaving her body or anything like that, but because that's where the power of Jupiter is. It's about accessing healing at a kind of a transdimensional or multidimensional level. So that's, I think, where she can go, where you can go, Then you get into things like energy healing the subtle bodies. That's another very Jupiterian kind of experience going through the 12th house. But I think that with Saturn's going backwards now in her 5th, so there would be at least some kind of what's what I'm looking for? Review as to what she puts into her body and how it does affect her heart, whether it's this bacteria in the stomach or wheat or anything along those lines. I'm just trying to find out if there's anything else here that's really jumping out. Uranus, Aries, I don't see the big T-square coming up as being a huge deal for her. Pluto's already in her 7th house. It's moved way beyond her descendants. Uranus is in her 11th. The square will take place, but it's 11th, 7th. Everybody's going to get the square. It doesn't matter kind of who you are, where you are. So I think that's it, Roy. Is this making sense?
It does on a lot of levels. It really does. She's not sick anymore. I mean, they gave her the medicine, and they found out she didn't have a heart attack or anything, but it was in a large part what she was putting in her mouth. And she is very good with the diet, but because she had some other issues before that, and which all led up to this, it was actually the food that she was eating when she thought she was going to eat nice and healthy and eat more fruits and stuff, and that actually kicked in this, what we now found out, this bacteria, and made it even, and even with the medication, she still has problems. Yeah. But she's not really sick, so that's and it's great that what you said about that things are looking good. We're really happy about that. Definitely. And when Jupiter moves into her 1st house in June, that's going to be a great time for her, really great time for her, and real resurgence of energy and vitality and healing, and would not be surprised, truly, now that she's kind of adjusted her diet and stuff, that she'll even begin to look younger with Jupiter coming into her 1st house. That happens a lot of times when people have Jupiter cross their 1st house. They just somehow seem to drop a couple of years for a few months. It's actually a really good transit. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. We also, like what you had said, that it seems like it's in more than just like the health level, or at least that's what I heard. It seems like that was something what was going on, and I don't know how to explain it, but I don't want to get too personal with the rosemary and all this, but I have a feeling that we crossed the hurdle, Yeah. And, it's great. That's great. And you touched upon all this with the chemtrails and whatnot. I think a lot of these kind of things, this bacteria that's in the stomach, it's in like more than half of the population of Earth, Yeah. And I think that with all the stuff that they're spraying, who knows, GMO, it seems like a lot of people are having like digestive problems and whatnot. It's true. And I think it's like a Trojan horse. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing with these. So hopefully. Yep. Yeah. And you went through a bad time with your wheat, and I really got to give it up myself. Well, it could be really, really hard. I mean, one of the things that wheat has naturally occurring in it is it has opioids. And yay. So people, eat wheat and they feel good, It's like, oh yeah. Yeah. So the part of kicking wheat is like, it's like wheat's like, its own little, natural version of snack in some ways, because what the wheat does. I mean, I looked into this, right? So theoretically, this is made really the opioids. They're not there for you and me. They're there for animals, you see, because the animals get just as affected by the opioids with the wheat. So what the animals do is they like it. They have a chemical reaction in their brains. So they want to go back and eat more wheat. Well, guess what? The wheat sperm, the tiny, tiny kernel of the wheat itself is undigestible for the animal. So guess what the animal does? The animal winds up pooping out the wheat sperm, the little germ of the wheat,
and it's already encased in a very nice medium filled with nitrogen, and that nitrogen decomposes, and it takes it into the earth, and it's got a great head start, and guess what? There's a new wheat plant being born. So the intelligence behind wheat is phenomenal. The animals get hooked on it. They can't digest it. They poop it out. It's a natural medium to grow it, and the wheat gets to reproduce. That is the brilliance of wheat.
Wow. Yeah.
Now we can't. Now we don't poop it out, right? Because by that time it's become processed, but we still get the opioids.
Yeah, we crush it up and make sure we can at least get it through our system, right?
Exactly. So that's what we're dealing with, man. Nature's a witch. Let me tell you.
Yes. Well, thanks a lot. This is really.
Well,
thank you so much.
good to hear your voice.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
So long.
All right. So what I want to do now, let's do one more call, and I want to take 10 minutes at the end of the show here. There's something I want to do. Let's do one more call, and then we're going to do something together. We're going to have a group event here. All right. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey, Robert.
Who's this?
It's Fran. How are you?
Hey, Fran. What's happening?
I'm sitting here doing something as mundane as my taxes. We get till the end of the month of April to do them, so I thought I'd sit down and start kind of hammering them out.
You're an inspiration to us all.
So, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Not doing too bad.
Good.
Yeah, it's every day. I guess every day I'm upright. It's a good day, right?
You're getting more acclimated to where you are?
A little bit, a little bit. I mean, it's been interesting. I had Darren Williams, who's a friend of the show, sent me an email, and he was just trying to figure out, where I'm going to be, if I'm going to stay here, and one of the things that I have found about being here is the people here are very nice and pretty open, and I have not necessarily kind of integrated into the kind of the greater world around me. And so part of the reason is because I live in this apartment complex. And everybody kind of keeps to themselves for the most part. And there's nothing around here. There's no place to walk. There's no, no kind of villagey or, there's, it's a big apartment complex on a highway. That's what it is.
Right.
So I think maybe it might have to do with where I actually physically live.
Right. I agree.
And so maybe living somewhere else where it's more accessible.
I was going to say, absolutely. Especially from where you came from, you were able to do more of that. And it's very hard to make the switch.
I could walk out of my house. I could walk 2 blocks, and I was in the middle of everything.
Right.
And it wasn't even a city. It was like a little village.
Right. Oh, yeah. I can understand what that's like because that's what I have up here.
Yeah.
So,
but then again, I might be spoiled. I might have been spoiled because not everybody's like that. Not every place is like that. It's pretty unique, I think, in some ways.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks.
Good. Well, I thought I'd call you to ask you to look at a composite for me.
Okay. Let's do a quickie.
Yeah.
I want to have some time at the end of the show.
Sure, that's fine. Because I just wanted a second opinion since I'm a little more versed than maybe some of your other callers on things like this. So.
Okay. So I got you up here, Fran.
Okay.
All right. And what is the composite? Do you have the information for the composite?
Yes. It's my husband.
All right. Let me just see this. I have to tweak another chart here. Let's do this one. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go. Give me his info, please.
Yeah, it's January 26, 1960.
All right.
8:05 p.m.
All right, and the place?
And the city is Ponce, Ponce.
Okay.
Puerto Rico.
All right. Okay. All right. 8:05 p.m. Ponce, Puerto Rico, 26 January 1960. Right?
Correct.
Virgo rising. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go composite.
It's a pretty tight chart. It's not too spread out.
Yeah, I remember this chart. All right, where are you? You're in here.
Especially with the cardinal energy right now.
It's Fran. I just had you up here. We've got 100 names in my database, so it's hard for me to scroll through it. Fran. Come on now, Fran. Frank.
No.
No, I know.
I've gone by Frankie a little bit, but no, not Frank.
All right. There you are.
There you go.
All right. Let's do composite. There it is. Voila. Okay, so what's your question?
Well, with the ongoing cardinal energy, as you see, I have a heavy fifth house in the composite.
Yeah.
And, looking at some of the tight angles, what we're talking about, what you see out, because, it's like I don't want to be my own doctor on this, so I'm looking to see you just to give me some general insight what you think.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, the only thing that I can really see here is the Uranus. Well, it would be Pluto on Mercury and Uranus squaring the composite Mercury with Pluto on there.
Right.
And to me, what that feels like is that you don't want to make any hasty decisions.
Right.
That if there's conflict, that it's important to sometimes not making a choice or the choice to do nothing.
Right. I do a lot of that by default, to choose not to choose.
Yeah, and I think that might be something that you would have to practice a little more assiduously.
Right.
But, and here's the but, I think that you will also be called upon to try to figure out how you're going to secure your financial future a little better.
Right.
And that may not be making more money. That may not be that at all. It would be something along the lines of bolting down more of what you have.
Right.
Because I definitely see that Uranus up in the 8th house in Aries as being quite unstable. As it's
now you're looking at our composite chart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because of the angle to Mercury.
Okay.
And Capricorn, right? And this would be, the 8th house is legacy, it's savings, it's investments.
Right.
And Capricorn is all long term. You've got I love your 5th house here. It's stacked. It's all Capricorn. It's the older you get, the better it gets.
Right. Oh, that's true. My concern has always been with the Mars at 11, squaring Mars in the Libra, squaring the 5th house.
The opposition there. Well, again, that gets back with the opposition of Uranus.
Right.
And to me, that is all about resources, Fran.
Right.
And dealing with legality and yes, I see that. So doing your taxes now is a good thing.
Yeah.
Get them out of the way.
Yeah.
And Fran, you're so sensitive to what's happening on the world stage.
Yeah.
What's happening with money markets.
Right.
That I think it's going to be a really interesting exercise on your part to figure out what's hype and what's fear.
Right.
And then what you're going to really need to pay attention to.
Right. I'm trying to focus on, because that's somewhat mundane and it's very difficult. I have a full fifth house myself in my natal chart.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, no, you need to focus on some of this mundane because it's important, even though it's mundane, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's in terms of your relationship with your man. I just think that that there again would be more of a sense of impatience.
Yeah.
And a real conscious effort to not react.
Right.
Very conscious effort to not react.
Yeah.
So, with Uranus and Aries at the 8th house too, I mean, one of the things that you could explore is, and I don't mean make this sound, base or anything, but to explore ways in which you can reinvent your sex life or your intimacy.
Right.
Because that would be a very Uranus, Aries, 8th house experience.
Right. New beginnings in that area.
Yeah. And as it opposes Mars on Libra, because you're dealing with like Mars, Libra, Taurus, 2nd house, fixed.
Yeah.
Propriety.
Right.
Libra is a very kind of propriety-based sign in some ways.
Right.
So in Uranus and Aries in the 8th house, it opposes that. It's like, what could you do in order to, bring more of a sense of passion and excitement into your intimate life. And intimacy doesn't always mean sex.
Sex, right, absolutely.
So that would be something that I would definitely look at and be willing to explore as it relates to the composite chart.
Yes. Okay, I will do that, and I appreciate that, and I will catch up with you. I know there are a lot of planets, if you look on your site today from the Astrodens, a lot of planets are at 11 degrees today.
Yeah.
And so that Mars in my chart is also at 11 degrees, because I know you have Pluto at 11, Chiron's at 11, Mars and Jupiter are all at 11. So my number, as I'm an 11, is 2 and 9, which is, balancing relationships to 2 and ending. So in terms of, completing a cycle. So I figure that all is coming into play now, too.
Right. Well, I'm an 11, too. I'm the 3-8-11.
Right. You're the 3-8.
Yeah.
So, okay, Robert, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Fran. Thanks for calling in. You take good care.
All right. Thanks. You take care of yourself there.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we have just a few minutes left, and it's just the perfect amount of time for what I want to do here. And what I'd like to do is I'd like for all of us to kind of use our energy here for just a moment and open ourselves. There's a good friend of the show. You know her. A lot of people know her. Her name is Sandra. And her husband, Jack, has been going through a very, 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 very difficult time in terms of recovery from an automobile accident. And he's been in a lot of pain. And what I'd like to do today is I'd like for us to just focus on Sandra and Jack for just a minute. And let us together just invoke some healing energy and through the grace and the love and the compassion of God to come to Jack and to allow Jack and Sandra as a couple to experience this loving energy and this healing energy that's available to all of us. So why don't we just take a moment or two here in time? It doesn't have to be very long. Let's just do it for maybe 10 seconds or so, 15 seconds, and let's just hold Jack and Sandra in our hearts and our minds, and let's recognize them as a part of ourselves, every part of ourselves who would go through something like this, and that we in turn would want the same thing because we would be in pain. And the people around us would want it for us because they would see us in pain. So let's embrace them as part of ourselves, and let's allow this loving energy, this healing energy of God to come through and bless Jack and Sandra, and allow Jack to recover as quickly and as rapidly and lovingly as possible. Let's just do that right now. All right, dear God, we thank you for being a part of our experience, our acknowledgement and recognition in your power in the life of Sandra and Jack, and especially Jack in his healing process. We give great thanks for that. We recognize and acknowledge that it's already happened. And in faith, Jack is well on the road to recovery, or what is the highest and best for Jack and Sandra at this time. We release and surrender it. Let it go, so be it. All right, that's it for today's show on Friday. Who knows who's going to be here? I will endeavor to have a guest. I'm going to try to work on that after today's show, nail somebody down. Could be a very interesting guest. But whatever the case is, it will be Good Friday. It will be a good day to listen to the show. So I hope to see you here. All right, this is Robert Phoenix. You've been listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. We've got about 4 minutes left in the show. Why don't we play Umet by Clay, Man Called Clay, and we'll end with that. Thank you, everybody, for calling in and listening. I'll see you on Friday. Adios.